Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to a 10 to 13 focus activity. If you've been here before, you might know who I am. My name is Michelle. I am a teacher in Milano Meravigli with the lovely Sean. I've been there for over a year, and I am
Mhm.
originally Pakistani.
Yes, and I am the lovely Sean. I am from Ireland. I have been working in the school on Via Meravigli since September with Michelle.
Today we are going to talk about dining etiquette. Would you like to read, Sean?
Sure. So in this focus about dining etiquette, we are talking about tea time, etiquette and vocabulary, and then fine dining etiquette and vocabulary. So there's different rules, different vocabulary for tea time and for dinner time.
Would you like to read, Sean?
Yeah, so dining etiquette. What do we mean when we talk about dining etiquette? Can you think of some examples of good and bad dining etiquette? How have you ever been to a fancy dinner? When? Do you know the difference between high tea and afternoon tea?
Fantastic. So this is a fun little exercise, right?
Yeah, a nice distraction from coronavirus.
Okay, so what do we mean when we talk about dining etiquette? What is proper dining etiquette? So
Mm,
let's start with the word itself. Okay, etiquette. What do we? What does etiquette mean? So we would just say dining etiquette would mean good table manners.
yeah, it's a fancy word for manners. Yeah.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Okay, so can you think of some examples of bad and good dining etiquette?
Yeah, so a classic one, which I think we all do, is to put your elbows on the table. You are not supposed to put your elbows on the table, but I think we all do it, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. This is something we all hear. Another one, don't talk with your mouth full. So that's pretty basic.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Okay, but let's just use some more examples. What else do you think? Why do you think it's rude to put your hands on the table?
I mean, a lot of these things, I think, some of them are about consideration for others, you know. But I think a lot of them are about having some poise, looking elegant, not looking uncouth. Uncouth is a
Oh, I
word
like
I
that
like a
word.
lot.
I do too. I love it. I love telling
Uncouth.
my brother he's uncouth.
How would you define uncouth?
Basically, someone who lacks good manner, someone who isn't refined.
Yes, someone who isn't refined. Refined is a good thing to be.
Um, so when we talk about right, the elbows on the table, so this is actually historic in its origin. So back in the medieval days, when we didn't have proper dining tables, they just had trestles. So basically, they were just planks of wood that
Hmm.
they would eat on, and they were called a trestle. So that would be Trestle, I believe. It's not something we use anymore.
Hmm.
Um, So they would have these tables, and unfortunately, they weren't very well supported, and the diners would only eat on one side. So if they put their elbows on the table, the weight of their elbows would bring the table crashing down.
Oh, I didn't know that. And it lasted until present day.
Yep, exactly. Now it's just polite to not put your elbows on the table. But I think now it's like you said, it's considerate not to put your elbows on the table because you could be, budging someone else, nudging someone else with your elbow.
Mm,
That's not nice.
definitely. Mm.
What else do you think falls? What is so before the dinner? If we talk about dining etiquette, let's start from before dinner. If you are invited for dinner, you should definitely RSVP.
Yes, réservez s'il vous plaît.
Ooh,
We,
fancy.
we we use a lot of French in this subject, don't we? The French are kind of the fancier version of us, so we like to copy them.
I don't think you can say that. You come from the far north.
Yeah. It's funny though, French people don't they're generally not that polite, but that's a whole other story.
Right, but they are refined.
Yeah, yeah. It's an interesting distinction.
Okay, I see that we have a few viewers here. Hi guys, write to us and let us know where you're from, um, which school you go to. We love it when you guys interact and let us know about what you think.
Mm. Yeah, tell us about Italy. We don't know much about Italy, I don't think. Yeah. So tell us if things are different for you guys in Italy. I think we'll have a similar reference for manners because both Ireland and Pakistan were under the influence of the British, who are very polite, mannerly people, aren't they?
They are. That's this joke. So when a British person tells you to go to hell, he or she is so diplomatic that you find yourself looking forward to the trip.
Yeah, yeah. They're not very they love politeness and manners. I mean so much of this has to do with class and aspiration. I think my mother always emphasized good manners and she came from a working class background and she viewed having good things like small things like table manners as the way to ascend from being working class. So there's small things, but they do count, I think.
Absolutely. I went to a Catholic convent school, and it was run by Irish nuns.
Oh, great. I hope they didn't traumatize you too much.
Oh, the things I learned. But it's like you said, they were very focused on, of course, education, but they wanted us to have, because it was an all girls school, they wanted us to have a very rounded education. So we would have these character building lessons and these lessons which were like finishing school almost, where, how to sit,
The
how to,
book on the head.
no, thankfully. They drew the line there, but definitely how to eat, how to sit. Like we were taught never to cross our legs because the lady never crosses her legs. You got to tuck one leg underneath the other leg and slant the whole thing.
Oh,
So yeah, but she was very very focused on ensuring that her girls, the convent girls, looked refined and looked like they were eligible young ladies.
yeah. It's keeping up appearances. And I mean, it's funny because I don't really believe that it's so important. But when you do, you go to dinner with someone who has not been taught or doesn't care,
Mhm.
It is a bit unpleasant. You really expect the people to follow the rules, you know?
Absolutely. So, speaking of dinners, have you ever been to a fancy dinner?
I'm trying to think. I mean, I've never been to kind of Michelin star scenario, you have to wear black tie kind of thing. But I mean, I have had dinner at very posh people's houses, and I think that's almost more pressure because they're really looking at you.
Yeah,
Have you ever been fine dining?
I have a couple of times. I have been fine dining. I really do love food. So I do enjoy a fine dining experience as much as I enjoy stuffing a burrito or taco into my mouth.
Yeah, it's nice, I think. Makes you feel sophisticated.
It also makes you feel like a giant because the portions are always like this big.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think the atmosphere and all that looks good, but I don't know about the actual food. Whenever I've been somewhere a bit experimental, I found the food strange and always too small.
Absolutely. But whenever I've been, fine dining, something experimental, I always try to go with an open mind because it's usually very different to what you expect because it's a whole new take on something like a deconstructed avocado salad. It's like, why do
Yeah.
I need to deconstruct it? Goes into my mouth. I deconstruct it.
Yeah, I mean, it is quite artistic at dive
Absolutely. But
point. Yeah.
it's the experience altogether that makes it so beautiful.
Yeah, definitely. One thing that I find a lot of pressure in a restaurant is when they give you the wine list, because
Oh,
I think that's when they can tell who's really, fancy and who isn't.
sophisticated.
Yeah. I always I go for the second cheapest usually.
I'm not very good with wine, to be honest. I know a few kinds of wine, and I know they'll be good, but I don't have a large repertoire to draw on, unfortunately. Um,
Yeah,
so
I don't have a very discerning palate. I'll drink anything. I don't really mind.
I'm better with scotch and whiskey. So hard liquors is
Okay.
where I shine.
Did the Irish nuns teach you that in character building?
They did. Yeah, I never thought of that. This is true. My favorite whiskey is an Irish whiskey. So,
Which
yeah.
one?
Okay, so this is going to be, um, I don't know how to pronounce it. It starts with LA. I don't want to embarrass myself.
Give it a go.
Lafrohoy? This is,
Okay, I haven't heard of it.
I'm sure you have. I'm butchering it. I'm just going to spell it for you. It's a single malt from,
Okay.
Islay. Is that how you pronounce it?
From where?
So this is the name of the whiskey. It is a single malt.
Okay. Now that is tricky. I don't know that one. I mean, there's so many whiskies in Ireland. You walk down the street and there's a new distillery. I mean, the standard is certainly Jameson, which
Mm.
many people
Mm,
pronounce as Jameson, incorrect.
right. Oh,
Jem
what is the correct way?
Jemison. I don't know why.
Jemison. I feel
Jemison.
fancy already. Barkeep,
Yeah.
pour me a Jemison. 5 o'clock.
Yeah, they probably won't know what you mean, but in Ireland, yeah, Jemison.
Okay, so speaking about it being 5 o'clock, so traditionally, in my household, this is tea time. Is it
Yeah.
the same for you?
I mean, I drink tea all day. Again, I don't come from a fancy family, but we just, at any interval, tea. I mean, in the morning, with your lunch, after lunch, in the afternoon, after dinner, before bed. 6 cups of tea a day or something.
Oh my gosh, this reminds me so much of my family because they all love tea. And this is how they drink tea. It's like water in my house. So they have it in the morning. You have a headache, have a cup of tea. The weather got you down, have a cup of tea.
But you must have a really good tea in Pakistan. It's, I mean, where they grow it, no?
Sri Lanka, Pakistan, not so much. But
Oh,
yes, we do have some great tea. Yes, we also grow tea. Um, and the tea there is so good. Very, very, very good. It's strong.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely like strong tea, strong
Yeah.
black
Mm.
Assam tea. I'm not one for herbal tea myself.
Right. So you're not a fan of Earl Grey?
No, no. I mean, the thing in Ireland or Britain, anyone will tell you if you go to somewhere and you say, "I'd like a tea," they will not say what kind of tea. They will give you a cup of black tea. That is tea.
Yeah.
Beyond that, you're talking about Earl Grey or green tea, and
Mm.
certainly not Earl Grey. For me, it's Earl Grey is very strange. It tastes like
Yeah.
lavender. It's like soap for me. But
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I like a green tea or a chamomile tea if I'm feeling adventurous, but black tea is the one for me.
Black tea is the way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Definitely.
personally don't like tea. I prefer coffee.
Hmm.
But everyone in my family does love tea. The difference at 5 o'clock is that usually at 5 o'clock there will be some tea with some snacks. So maybe some sandwiches, some samosas.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, tea without a biscuit is certainly nothing in my book. That's a big aspect of our culture, which definitely Italians don't really do that. Even
No,
with their coffee, they just, I mean, e- for me, half the fun is the biscuit.
the dunking. Do you dunk your biscuits in your tea?
Yeah, I think it is bad manners, though, isn't it? But
It is. It's
it's
so
too
good.
good. It's too good. I have to do it.
So we use the word dunk, okay, to dunk biscuits. So when you dunk biscuit, you dip a biscuit into the tea or Nutella if you're eating the Nutella.
Mhm.
Um, okay, so the difference between high tea and afternoon tea, this is quite good. Would you like to read, Sean?
Sure. So tea, more than just a drink. Tea, as we all know, is a very popular drink in Great Britain. Tea is drunk frequently throughout the day, and when a friend or neighbor stops by for a visit, it's only polite to offer a cup of tea. However, the word tea doesn't necessarily mean the hot beverage.
Mm.
Afternoon tea is what most people think of when they imagine tea time. A fancy table laid with a nice tea set and delicacies like scones and cucumber sandwiches. This tradition began with the wealthy class and was a great way to show off to other wealthy visitors. High tea was traditionally served between 4 and 7 p.m. and was the evening meal for the lower class and for children of wealthy families whose parents would have their dinner much later in the evening after the children were put to bed. Today, the word tea in Great Britain can mean a snack or a small meal.
Fantastic. Um, if you guys have any questions about the vocabulary, please let us know. In the meantime, we're going to move forward because I think this was quite a bit of information and it was quite interesting. So,
Yeah, I mean, now that the difference is explained, I understand it. And something my grandmother called her main meal of the day her tea.
mm,
She wouldn't use the word dinner. If she said dinner, actually, she kind of meant lunch. She never used the word lunch. It's a bit confusing. Dinner would kind of be at 1 o'clock, but tea. It was always about tea. And
mm.
then my mother, with the better manners, the elocution lesson, who kind of moved up into the middle class, she started talking about lunch and dinner. So it was a bit of it's funny how these things kind of denote your status.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, so it's almost tea time. Oh, sorry. So tea time is, between 4 and 7. Is that tea time in Ireland as well?
Yeah, I mean, again, we drink tea all the time. I mean, it's always tea time. Uh, it's like happy hour. We don't have happy hour. It's always tea time, always happy hour.
I love that. Okay, now we have a beautiful tea tray. It's very elegant, looks fancy, probably made out of China.
This
So let's
is
talk about this
China.
word. So China is not, we're not referring to the country, we're referring to a material. It is the material that your teacups and your plates are made of. It's a type of porcelain, and it's made with a bone ash and clay.
Hmm. Yes, the best china is called bone china, where I think there's a lot of
Hmm.
bone in it.
Yeah, it has a higher concentration of bone ash and a lower concentration of clay and whatever else they put into it.
Yeah, that's a bit weird, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay, so we have a bunch of words here. I'm going to read them and then we are going to match them. First up, we have tea tray. Next, teacup, teapot, creamer, sugar bowl, saucer, tongs. Okay, let's start matching. Would you like to go first, Sean?
Yeah, so the tea tray, or just a tray in general, is the at the bottom, the large flat surface that you carry out everything on. So at the bottom M.
Fantastic.
Hmm.
Okay, so the teacup is obviously the tiny cup you pour your tea into, and that would be A.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, when you drink tea, do you drink out of a cup? Because my grandmother certainly had, about 10 sets like these, china.
Hmm.
She never used them, only if the priest came or something. She'd break out the china.
Yeah,
Otherwise, we drank out of big mugs, which were just common material, not particularly elaborate.
yeah. So bone china, like we said, is made out of bone ash, so it's very expensive because bone ash. So in my household as well, my mother had like these elaborate sets that were reserved for company, as she put it. This is for company. And then we would have regular mugs, which we would break regularly.
Hmm.
And they were about yay big. So we'd love a good, my family would love a big steaming cup of tea. So they didn't want little dainty bits.
Yeah, I mean a big mug is definitely what you drink if you're having to.
Okay, next up, teapot. A teapot is the container into which you pour the tea when it's ready. And then from this container, you pour it into the teacups. So I am going to go with E.
Hmm.
Fantastic. Would you like to take the next one?
Yeah, so the word we have here is creamer. Um,
Mm.
Personally, I would not use this word. I would talk about a jug or a milk jug. Americans generally call the kind of milk that you'd put in coffee or tea, they call it cream. For me, cream is something else. Cream is a little more solid, and I wouldn't put it in my tea. I would put just normal milk. So a milk jug or a creamer, I think it's B.
Absolutely. I wouldn't use this word to for this object myself either. I would also call it a milk jug or a cream jug. Because creamer, very specifically, like Sean says, refers to the white powder that you put to make your tea white. So it's not actually cream per se, it's a non dairy sometimes. and sometimes it's a milk substitute. And I have never put cream in my tea ever or my coffee. Have you?
No, I mean, I don't really understand it. I personally, I used to drink my tea with milk, but then I started drinking it black. And sometimes I'll put milk, but very often I drink it black. But definitely no cream. No, no creamer.
Okay, a sugar bowl. A sugar bowl is a tiny bowl which holds sugar. I am going to go with C.
Yeah.
Oh, we also have D, a saucer.
Mm.
So saucer is what you have below your teacup and you place your teacup on it. It acts as a coaster of sorts for your teacup.
Mhm.
Then we have tongs, which is G. Tongs are these. Wait, what would you use tongs for during tea time? To
The
pick up
sugar
sandwiches,
cubes. The sugar cubes.
sugar cubes, or the sandwiches.
Yeah, the little triangles,
Uh,
cucumber sandwiches. Mm.
okay, moving on. Fingers. Oh, and one more thing. Once we just, in reference to the last slide, just remember settings is the general noun for items on the table, like table setting or a set of some sort. Okay, next up we have fingers. Okay, so which finger is this, Sean?
That is your thumb.
Okay, next we have your,
Your index finger.
absolutely, following which,
Your middle finger.
fantastic. Okay, number four,
Your ring finger.
your ring finger. And lastly,
Your little finger or your pinky.
fantastic. Okay, so this is a topic of some controversy. So, how do you hold a teacup?
I don't know. For me, this is too much. I don't pay attention. You hold it so you don't drop it. I mean, they say that people who are trying to look fancy hold out the pinky,
I always hold out my pinky.
but they say that actually fancy people like the Queen don't.
What?
But they hold it in a different way altogether.
Right.
I don't know what they do. They do this or something. They've come up with some other way to distinguish themselves. Personally, I hold it in the most intuitive way.
Right.
I don't bother with the pinky. I think it's fun to go like that, but I don't do it personally.
I need to keep my pinky out to balance it. So I'm talking about like a proper teacup, like a tiny little
Yeah, yeah.
teacup. They're so delicate and I'm not used to it. So I usually have like my pinky out as a balancing act so I don't tip the little cup over as
Mm,
I'm drinking. But I don't
that
think that's
makes sense.
so basically the idea is two cups, two or one or two fingers, and you have to push one through the handle, and then you balance the cup with your thumb, and your finger should be curled underneath the handle. So it's like you said, you shouldn't have like your pinky out and look like Mike Myers.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Serving hot tea. This is good. Would you like to read the question?
So, do you hold your pinky out? How do you stir the tea? In which direction? Is it correct etiquette to hold the saucer and cup? Do you serve milk or cream? Why? Which liquid goes into the cup first? Where is the jam or spread placed?
Okay, so jam or spread. What is the difference?
Well, jam is a kind of fruit based, generally strawberry or blackberry. If it's a
Mm-hmm.
citrus, it's marmalade. So you have orange marmalade, lemon marmalade, I believe also. But other kinds of fruit, berries are jam. Strawberry jam is the most common, I think. And generally in Ireland, we like to have butter and jam because we have very high quality butter. But I
Mm.
know that in England they like clotted cream, and these are generally all with scones. I say scone. Do you say scone or scone?
We say scone.
Yeah, in some parts of the world they say scone, but a scone is like a kind of I don't know how you. It's like a little cake. It's not terribly sweet. It's quite plain, and you add the jam and the butter to give it a bit more flavor. I quite like scones.
I do. Oof, I love them. You do get them in Milan, by the way.
Do you? Where?
California Bakery.
Okay. Well, as soon as the quarantine is over, I will go get a scone.
And they have some clotted cream there as well.
Ooh.
I do love a good scone, and I think that's a good description. It's like a biscuit and a cake had a baby.
Yeah.
That is what a scone is, and you can split it down the middle. It's fantastic. Okay, so I'm gonna move faster so we can go to the because we can't watch the video. So, okay, now let's talk about dinner time. Okay, would you like to pick one? Setting setback, dinner, decorum.
I don't know. We'll start with setting setback, see where it takes us.
Okay, so this is fantastic, right? Because the setting setback is a play on words.
Yeah. What is a setback?
A setback is when you have experienced a problem of some sort that derails your plans. And a setting, like we said, it's a noun for when you set the table. So a setting setback, it means there has been a problem in setting the table.
Yeah.
Okay, so dinner. You and your friends are servants in a fancy Victorian house. It's also 1920. Work together. Can you set your table correctly? Your job depends on it. Okay. Oh, that's scary. Do you think we can do that?
No. There's far too many things.
Okay, so here we have it. We have a red wine. Sorry, I don't think you guys can see it right now. Here we go. So we would you like to read the
Hmm.
list?
So dinner cutlery, red wine glass, white wine glass, water glass, cup and saucer, bread plate, salad plate, service plate, place card, napkin, dinner fork, salad fork, cake fork, dinner knife, bread knife, teaspoon, soup spoon, dessert spoon.
Fantastic. Should we go ahead and see what it looks like? Here we go.
Hmm. Yeah.
So this
Okay.
is really good. So the idea is that you always start eating from the outside in,
Yeah.
right? So for example, you use your salad fork before you use your dinner fork. So you make your way from the outside towards the inside.
Yeah, I mean, there's one thing that I will say my mother taught me differently. You see the
Mm-hmm.
knife, the
Mm-hmm.
that's the dinner knife, the way it's
Yeah.
faced, the blade is facing in towards the plate.
Mm-hmm.
I was told quite insistently it has to go the other way. Um, when I set the table, my mother would say, "You've done it wrong. You have to do it this."
No, likewise.
But for me, the napkin
Likewise.
always went under the knife.
Sorry?
Then the napkin always went under the knife, not the fork.
Right. I agree. I agree. But I think with the napkin it's kind of up for grabs, I believe, because some people Americans eat differently with the fork and the knife compared to Europeans, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. Where do
But
you keep your napkin when you eat? This is also controversial.
no, I do it the same as you. It would be underneath my knife, not underneath my fork,
Mhm. But
right?
when you're eating, what do you do with it? Because some people put it here, some people put it on their knees. What do you do?
Knees.
Yeah.
Always, always. My mom always taught me, and so did the nuns, insist you always put it on your knees, and then whenever you wanted to dab your mouth, you picked up the corner that wasn't facing you, so the underneath of the furthest corner, and you dabbed your mouth and you put it back. So that way, the offensive mark was underneath the napkin, and no one could see it. hmm Okay, so with the knives, right, like you said, usually you have it to the right with the blades facing the plates, but sometimes you can have it with the blades facing the other way. I think a lot of this also comes down to, where you are culturally.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, it is all fairly arbitrary, really.
Really, absolutely. My brother went to hospitality school, so he's really on point with this.
Yeah, I mean, in a hotel, they have to get it right, don't they?
Yeah, they don't have a choice.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have your water glass, you have your red wine glass, your white wine glass, your cup and saucer for your tea, presumably. So what is the difference between a service plate and a dinner plate?
Um, I don't know. What is it? Service
So
plate.
the, yeah, so the service plate is basically the large plate that's used for a multi-course meals. Like in a casual situation, like for example, if you came over to my house, you would only get one plate.
Yeah. Mhm.
Right, and service plates basically catch everything that spills out. Suppose you have like a very watery pasta, for example, pasta with brodo. So you would probably have a service plate underneath to catch any spills that you know occur.
Yeah, I mean, all of this was, I think, invented by people who did not do their own washing up.
Definitely. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, correct dining etiquette, waiters and servants. So first up, I find the word servants very offensive. I don't know, it's just rude. What do you think?
No, it's definitely, you don't say it anymore. There's a few words like that.
Yeah. So I would
Aid, you don't use.
no, no. You could call them the help, which
Yeah.
I don't know, still doesn't sound
Hou
great,
a
but
hou
definitely the help,
housekeeper
house,
or cleaner, something like that.
yeah, housekeeper, house help. I think those
Mhm.
are better words. And even waiters, no one really uses the word waiter anymore. We say server
Mhm.
because I think waiter is also a tad bit offensive.
Yes, they're waiting for you, you know.
Okay, so let's read these rules. Do you want to read them?
Yes, so seat the hostess first, pull out her chair for her. Do not seat couples together at the table. If possible, the seating arrangement should alternate between man and woman. When serving dishes or wine, it should be offered to the hostess first. If thanked, do not say you're welcome, instead say my pleasure. Serve from the left and clear from the right. If you need to get the attention of a guest, gently touch their elbow.
Hmm. And oh, one thing which I think they haven't mentioned is, when people reach across the table,
Yeah,
um, that really irritates me. Just ask for it. I'll toss it
uh,
to you. It's
I
so
don't know. Sometimes it drives me crazy when you're at a dinner party and it's a big table.
Yeah.
And, first you need one thing, then you need the other thing, and you have to ask every time because one thing is over there, one thing is over there, and everything has gone cold by the time there's a break in the conversation. You can ask, they can pass. I mean, I understand that it is rude to grab, but sometimes I can't wait.
Um, the first rule, seat the hostess first, pull out her chair for her. What happens if the host is a male?
I don't know, I do think there is still very much a kind of feminine bias for chivalry because,
Mhm.
I mean, certainly in my house, if we had guests, the way people were served was the female guest was given her meal first, then the
Mhm.
male guest, then my mother and my sister, then me, and then my father. And my father was the one who did the cooking, but he always got
Right.
it last. So it was always, yeah, the women are the priority. They get their stuff first.
True, true. And I think, if you are at a dinner and that the host is a man, maybe you wait for him to be seated first, or wait for some indication that he wants everyone to be seated and then sit
Yeah, definitely wait for them to start eating.
down. Right. Next, do not seat couples together at the table. Why do you think that is?
It's to get everyone talking, and so that kind of everyone is at an equal level of not comfortable with each other, so that you don't have. Also, whispering is considered a bit rude when, family
Hmm.
members or couples whisper to each other. It kills the kind of group energy, I suppose.
Yep. When serving dishes or wine, it should be offered to the hostess first, and I think we've discussed this already. Okay,
Mm.
this is interesting. If thanked, do not say you're welcome, say my pleasure instead. Do you have any theories on that?
No. I actually would never really say you're welcome, just generally. I tend to say things like no problem, no bother, don't worry about it. I don't know why. I don't say you're welcome. Maybe it's connected.
Yeah, so whenever you say my pleasure, it's obviously an idiomatic response to thank you. But it's similar to you're welcome, but it's more polite and it's more formal. So when you usually use it in formal conversation when someone thanks you for doing a favor for them, but you want to respond in a way that tells them you were happy to do it for them and that you enjoyed it.
Yeah. One that similar to that I think is very important for appearing to have good manners is if you can't hear someone,
Hmm.
don't say what, say pardon, or sorry, I didn't hear you, something like that.
Right.
Never, don't say what.
Right, yeah, that's quite rude. Usually the full is I beg your pardon, but that's pretty old fashioned, and I think you can get away with just saying I'm sorry or pardon.
Mm-hmm.
So from the left, clear from the right. This is pretty standard. If you need to get the attention of a guest, gently touch their elbow. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I guess it's a good idea. It is a bit of an awkward thing to get someone's attention at a dinner party.
Hmm.
It is rude to just kind of say, Michelle, across the table.
Hey you.
Yeah, I do find half of the battle in this situation is not interrupting people,
Yeah,
or, because people are talking and you have to do things kind of in a very subtle way so as not to disturb anyone. Certainly with serving and clearing, you can't be saying, Michelle, pass me your plate.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I beg of your pardon. What is that? Sorry. Okay. With that, we're almost out of time. So we're going to do a quick recap of what we've done so far, and let's go. Okay, so we spoke about dining etiquette and we spoke about tea time vocabulary, the difference between high tea and afternoon tea. So here we go. High tea is when you have a meal with your tea. And do you have this in hotels in Ireland where they have, where you go in specifically for high tea and there are like all kinds of amazing snacks?
Yeah, no, it is a thing. If maybe you go to the city for a day, you go into the hotel for tea, yeah, and you get sandwiches and cakes and lots of nice little things to eat.
Right. Yeah, but we have that as well, where you can go to a hotel or a nice restaurant, and they'll have some sort of setup for high tea, and they're all very delicate and very pretty, and completely do not fill you up. You can eat afterwards and still be hungry.
Yeah, it's not really a meal, it's
No,
yeah, I don't know.
no, it's just a fun time in the afternoon where you have some tea and eat a bunch of snacks and pretend you're
Mm.
having fun.
Yeah, I mean, did you have a tea set growing up? I did. Everyone did, I think. It was such a standard toy for us.
It really was, and I never understood why my parents gave it to me. And I was like, I don't even like. I had a whole set. I had a tea set. I had a kitchen set, and I was just like, it's not my vibe, but okay. And my cousins would come over and they would play with it, and I'd just be like, you can take it if you like.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about it that I didn't get was that we weren't drinking anything. We were just pretending to drink something, which I was like, shouldn't we drink something? It's like,
Yeah,
why would you pretend?
yeah. And I'm like, why would I pretend to drink something? I can just go and drink the real thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so we spoke about that. Next, we spoke about table settings. A tea tray, a teacup, a teapot, creamer. Just remember, creamer is what you put into your tea or coffee to make it white. So it can be milk or non-dairy, but usually creamer refers to non-dairy. But the vessel itself is called a milk jug. I've never called it creamer. A sugar bowl is obviously the vessel in which you have your sugar. Your saucer is like a coaster for your teacup, and your tongs can be used to pick up the dainty little sandwiches or for the sugar cubes. Okay, and remember the correct way to hold a teacup is not to stick your pinky finger out. You have to curl it underneath. And I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching us. And we hope you have a great day. Any
Yeah.
last?
Have a cup of tea on us. Yeah.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.
Bye bye.